Students of Standard 10th, here is another new chapter for you, that is photosynthesis. All plants are called as self-food producers because all organisms need food. Plants obtain food from the plants, but plants prepare the food by themselves. And the process by which they prepare food is called as photosynthesis. Now, this process is a most significant process among the life processes in plants. It provides food not only to the plant itself but to all animals including humans as well. And also it releases a life supporting gas called oxygen for breathing into the atmosphere. Therefore, the whole process of photosynthesis is a very important process in plants. Now let's see in the next picture. Now let us see what is photosynthesis, the definition of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the process by which plants prepare food using the raw materials water, sunlight, carbon dioxide and chlorophyll, which prepares food in the form of starch. Now equation is shown there: sunlight, carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water from the soil, chlorophyll from the leaves, pigment chlorophyll from the leaves which acts as a catalyst, prepares food in the form of starch. That is, the simplest form of starch is, the simplest form of carbohydrate is glucose. Starch is sugar, complex sugar, and glucose is a monosaccharide which is called as simple sugar and releases life supporting gas called as oxygen. Now let me again state the definition of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process by which living plant cells containing chlorophyll produce food in the form of starch and glucose from carbon dioxide and water by using light energy, and they release oxygen as a byproduct of photosynthesis. Next, chlorophyll, the vital plant pigment. Chlorophyll meaning of chlorophyll I'll tell you. Chloro means green, phyll means leaf, green color of the leaf. It's a green coloring matter present in plants. It is contained in the microscopic cell organelles of plants called as chloroplasts. Now let's see what are chloroplasts. These are minute bodies, oval in structure, bounded by a double membrane. So we call it as double membrane organelles. Their internal structure contains protein layers which are closely packed flattened sacs called as thylakoids. They are arranged in piles called as grana inside a colorless ground substance called as the stroma. Here in each and every plant cell there may be 40 to 50 chloroplasts. Now these chloroplasts contain a pigment called as chlorophyll which is concentrated inside the walls of the thylakoids. Now it is a highly complex substance which is composed of hydrogen, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, magnesium, and these chloroplasts are mainly contained in the mesophyll cells. Mesophyll cells means the cells in between the upper and lower epidermis of the leaves. Now they are present inside the palisade parenchyma and spongy parenchyma cells. They are found also in the guard cells of the stomata and in the outer layers of the young green stems. Now the function of the chlorophyll is to absorb light. They absorb light from the sun, that is blue and red light, and they reflect away the green light. That is why chlorophyll appears green. The absorbed blue and red lights are most effective for photosynthesis, and too much light also destroys the chlorophyll. It is highly sensitive to light, so too much light may also destroy it. Now you can see the picture over there. The picture of the chloroplast given there. Now this chloroplast contains outer membrane, inner membrane, and you can see the inside there is a ground substance. We call it as the stroma. The matrix is called as the stroma, and inside the matrix there are protein layers which are piled up, and these protein layers, piled up protein layers, are called as grana. These protein layers are called as the thylakoids. Together we call it as the grana, and the matrix is called as the stroma of the chloroplast. The stomatal opening, what is regulating the opening and closing of the stomata? We'll see how the stomata opens and closes. The main function of the stomata is to let in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere into the plant, or into the leaf, and oxygen produced as a result of photosynthesis is released out through this opening stomatal pore. Now, what are stomatas? Let's see. Stomata are minute openings which are present in large numbers on the lower surface of the leaf. The main function of the stomata is to let in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and actually stomatas are not in use for photosynthesis, but in dark what they do is they tend to close the openings so that water loss is minimized from the leaves through transpiration. In the dark, when there is no photosynthesis, that is at night. When there is light, that is after sunrise, they again reopen to allow carbon dioxide to diffuse inside, because carbon dioxide is a raw material for photosynthesis. Transpiration occurs along with photosynthesis. Transpiration is along with photosynthesis as it occurs. It is said that transpiration is a price paid for photosynthesis. This has to be explained properly, because as I had given you explanation just now, give reason it can be asked, or explain the statement why transpiration is a price paid for photosynthesis. Now let us see the picture of the guard cells. The closing and opening on the stomata is on account of the movement of water in and out of the guard cells. When the water moves in and out of the guard cells, they become turgid or they become flaccid. Now each and every guard cell has a thick inner wall. The inner wall is thick and they are facing the openings, and the thin outer wall on the opposite side. You can see the cytoplasm inside the guard cells. It contains the chloroplasts. Chloroplast is present. Then you can see the vacuole, a big vacuole over there, because it is a plant cell. Nucleus is also there in each and every cell. These labelings are important. Diagram is also important. The stomatal opening is clearly shown there, which is created only during the daytime. And at night you can see the stomata closed figure. The next figure is shrunken one. That is the closed figure at night to prevent transpiration. Now this opening and closing of stomata, it is mainly based on two theories. One is potassium ion concentration theory, other one is sugar concentration theory, which means according to the potassium ion concentration, the stomatal opening and closing depends upon the generation of potassium ion gradient. That is, during the daytime, the chloroplast and the guard cells, that is, they photosynthesize, which leads to the production of ATP, energy. This ATP is used to actively pump the potassium ions to the adjacent cells. There are adjacent cells very close to the guard cells, which are called epidermal cells. So adjacent cells they pump the potassium ions of the adjacent cells into the guard cells. So increased potassium ion concentration in the guard cells make them hypertonic. So more water from the adjacent cells is drawn, and the cells, they become turgid, and they move outwards to open the stomatal opening. The reverse, it happens at night when there is no more potassium ion concentration. This reduces the turgor pressure of the guard cells and they become flaccid. So the stomatal pore closes. Now same way in case of sugar concentration. Sugar concentration means during the daytime the guard cells, they begin with photosynthesis, and the sugar or glucose level produced during this process, they increase the osmotic pressure which draws the water from the adjoining cells due to endosmosis. Hence, the guard cells, they become turgid and they bulge during the daytime. Outwards they bulge due to their outer thin wall, while widening the stomatal opening, which is lying in between. They widen that, and the diffusion of gases that take place in and out during photosynthesis, and which also adds up to transpiration. Transpiration also continues along with photosynthesis. If for any reason the water content in the leaves is falling short, suppose the plant is falling short of water, the water is drawn off from the guard cells due to exosmosis. That also makes the guard cells flaccid. Okay, the next picture. Process of photosynthesis. Now, mesophyll cells during the daytime, as the sunlight falls on them, they trap the sunlight. Now let us see the structure of the leaf. Leaf structure is mentioned, is shown there, figure is shown there. The outer layer of the leaf is called as the cuticle. The first single cell layer is the epidermis. You can see the epidermal layer. Below that there are elongated cells. They are closely packed cells. They are called as palisade parenchyma, or also called as palisade mesophyll cells. Below that there are loosely packed cells, which is called as spongy parenchyma or spongy mesophyll cells. Now you can see the vascular bundles, that is xylem and the phloem. Bundle sheath is shown there, xylem and phloem. Then there is on lower epidermis at the base of this spongy mesophyll, there is lower epidermis. In the lower epidermis, you can see the stomatal, there is arrangement of stomata, the guard cells, which create the opening, stomatal opening, and stomatal pore is also there. Above that, just above that, there is a gap. That gap which is shown there. The pointer is showing you the gap. There, the water is stored there, which is given out through the stomatal pore during the daytime. Now, water from the soil is taken up from the roots. They send up to the stem, finally to the leaves, where it is distributed to the mesophyll cells, and the food is prepared inside this mesophyll. Now, the equation is cited there. Carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water from the soil, sunlight, chlorophyll. Together, food is prepared in the form of starch, and the life supporting gas oxygen is released into the atmosphere. This is the whole process of photosynthesis. We have two methods, that is, there are two phases, we call it as two phases of photosynthesis. One is light reaction, other one is dark reaction. Now, what is light reaction? I'll tell you first the hints, then I'll explain you the method. Light reaction, I'll tell you the site. Site means the place where light reaction occurs is in the grana of the chloroplast. Second is the source of energy, from where it gains energy during this reaction is the solar energy. Next, I'll tell you what is the raw material required. Raw material is water and the chlorophyll, which acts as a catalyst. What are the events I'll tell you during this light reaction? There are 4 steps. One is photolysis of water, that is splitting of water molecule into H plus and OH minus ions. Second, formation of molecular oxygen. Third is formation of NADPH2. And fourth is photophosphorylation. These are the 4 events during light reaction. Let's see the chlorophyll. What is the method of this light reaction? Just all the 4 events I'll explain. Chlorophyll molecules, that is, absorb the red and blue segment of the white light, and photosynthesis occurs most efficiently in these wavelengths. Chlorophyll molecules are photosynthetic molecules. When light rays fall on them, they get very excited, and in this excited state, they lose 1 electron and they become chlorophyll ions. They get excited and they form chlorophyll ions. This is responsible for splitting of water molecule. This is a complex system, the complex process, the protein system, which is collectively called as photosystem. Now you can see what happens here. This is responsible for splitting up of water molecule into H plus and OH minus ions, and in the presence of sunlight, called as photolysis of water. The process is called photolysis of water. Now the H plus ions thus formed. Sorry, the next is the second process. The next process, the hydrogen ions thus formed are highly reactive in nature, and they're very strong reducing agents. So they reduce NADP. They reduce NADP, they combine with NADP, they reduce them by reacting with them to form NADPH and NADPH2. The full form of NADP is nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Now, the OH minus ions which are formed due to splitting of water molecule, formed during this splitting of water molecule, they lose the electrons to form hydrogen peroxide H2O2, which is very unstable towards light, and they decompose readily to form water and oxygen. Thus, the byproduct of photosynthesis, oxygen, is released as a raw material. Along with, as a raw material, it is as a byproduct of photosynthesis from the raw material water. Now, question can be asked: from where is this oxygen released as a byproduct of photosynthesis? Don't mention carbon dioxide, it is from water, because it is released from splitting of water molecule. OH minus ions, from OH minus ions, 4 OH minus ions go 2 H2O plus O2. That O2 is this byproduct of photosynthesis. Next is the last method is the electrons which are liberated during oxidation of OH minus are transported to electron system now towards the chlorophyll ions, and once again they become set into the normal state. Thus, again the chlorophyll simply acts as a catalyst here. So, the conversion of low-grade energy molecule ADP, adenosine diphosphate, into ATP, adenosine triphosphate, with the addition of inorganic phosphate ions in the presence of light, is called photophosphorylation. This also occurs. So, oxygen, that is a waste product, as it is mentioned, it is a byproduct of photosynthesis. Next is to be continued in the next video, that is photosynthesis part